So this week I attended a Bible study in a nursing home. And so when I walked in, I was greeted by the three people that I was going to do this with. And I was just really intimidated. I thought I had prepared myself, but I wasn't. The smell was definitely how I thought a nursing home would smell. Just a lot of weird and strange smells that I don't normally smell. I was able to just see so many older people, a lot in wheelchairs, some asleep in the hall, a lot of them surrounded by the TV. There was a lot of TVs, so a lot of noise in that respect. No one really talking, other than the nurses who were there. They were talking to the people, but they weren't communicating amongst themselves. And so we ended up going into the room where we had gathered about 5 people, and we began with worship. And this was a practice that was really awesome. I thought it was perfect because I was surrounded with people that I thought I had nothing in common with, and here we were singing to God together, and that brought us closer. We were able to share in that, and that was our first moment of sharing together, and I think that kind of set the stage for the rest of the day. After that, we went into scripture reading, and that was more of a monologue, and during that time I just thought of how better this could have been if there was a dialogue between the instructor and the Bible study participants, because as I said earlier, no one was communicating. There wasn't very much conversation going on, and here these people who I don't think they have conversations as often, or maybe they do, and they might be tired of the same people. I'm not quite sure, but there was a lack of storytelling and conversation. And I think that is something that would benefit them. They have mass amounts of years behind them of wisdom, and I think just sharing that with each other is something that is important, to get them to talk to each other and to communicate with each other, because we need community. Anyways, so that ended. Then we started to pass out some little treats, and while we were doing that, someone brought up Jolly Ranchers, so then I started asking them what their favorite Jolly Rancher was, and that just opened up the door, and they were completely immersed in their own stories. They all began to tell me different remedies of sickness and what their parents used to do, and they were talking with each other, and it kind of, the food concept of sharing a meal, and then having that fellowship with each other was definitely evident. And I think that if we were to put that in the scripture segment of the Bible study, it would help them grow spiritually, because they are all going through spiritual growth, whether they realize it or not, or maybe they're declining. And so I think having that conversation, those dialogues open, is super important. I also think that when you get people to talk, it brings interest. And more people will be attracted to it, which happened to us. We started with 5, and then when people would pass by the open door, they would see us talking, and then they would become interested, and they would come and join us. So by the time it ended, we had about 9 people there, and that was amazing to me, because I felt like there was communication, some dialogue actually beginning to happen, but it wasn't around scripture, or wasn't around the text that we were talking about, and so making that a priority of storytelling and getting to know each other is something that I felt was a bit missing. However, I did feel very vulnerable. I was very cautious of what I was doing, but it was such a beautiful experience to be able to come alongside these believers who, though their outside body may be deteriorating, inside their wisdom and their love for God truly shone through the entire experience.